Hello, welcome everyone. In this video, I'm going to go over parallel lines. So one thing about parallel lines, if two lines are parallel, then they have to have a same slope. So if you look at this picture right here, this shows the two parallel lines, okay? So one thing in common they have is the slope is same, but the intercepts are different. So here the y-intercept is +2 and here it's -1. So we're going to do some calculations and bring these lines into slope-intercept form and then see if these lines are parallel or not. So we're going to go ahead and start with the first one. We have y minus 2x equals 2. So to bring this into slope-intercept form, we need y on one side and everything else on the other side. So we're going to go ahead and add this 2x because it's being subtracted on both sides. So this is done and we're left with only y on this side. On the other side we have 2x plus 2. And this one right here, we're going to go ahead and simplify it. So let's bring everything else on the other side. So we have y minus 2x minus 2 equals -3. So we add 2 first on both sides. And this 2 is gone. And now we're left with y minus 2x equals -1. And now we get rid of this 2x, so we add 2x on both sides. So we are left with only y on this side. (2x minus 1). Okay, so now these are the two lines we got. Look at the slope here. M is equal to 2. And what's the slope here? M is equal to 2. So the slopes are same. That means the lines are parallel. The only difference between these two lines is that the y-intercept. What's the y-intercept here? B is equal to 2. Or you can write it as 0, 0, 2. That's your y-intercept, which is right here. So basically, the graph that you see is for these two lines. And what is the y-intercept here? It's b equals -1. Or you can write it as 0, -1. So it's this point right here. Okay. All right. So the parallel lines have the same slope, but they have different intercepts where they cross the y-axis. So one thing to remember, same slope. All right. Now let's move on to the next example. Here is a little more complicated. Well, it's not. Because the slopes are already given. Slope of this line and the intercept is that, and the slope of the other line and the intercept is that. For the parallel line, the slope is same. So if you look at the slope of line 1, which is m sub 1, and this is the slope of line 2, which is m sub 2. Well, if we look at it, m sub 1 equals m sub 2. That means they, -2 and -2. So they have the same slope. This makes the two lines parallel. But let's, if these two lines are parallel, let's just also, we can look at just looking at the slope, but let's find out their equations. So y equals mx plus b. So now let's enter the information that we have. We have y equals -2x and the b is -2. This is the y-intercept right here. Okay. And the second equation we have is, this is the first one. Now let's go to line 2. We have y equals mx plus b, and let's put the information in there. We have y equals -2 for m right here for second line, x, and plus b is 0. The y value is 0 right here. The y-intercept is 0, so y equals -2x. Okay. Now looking at the m values, which we already saw, the lines are parallel. The only thing that is different in them is the y-intercept. One crosses at 0, 0, which is the origin, and the other crosses at -2. I'm gonna go ahead and actually bring the graph of this line, these two lines here, so give me a second. All right, here is the graph of these two lines. So if you look at the graph, okay, the one line is crossing, the y-intercept is -2 right here. So if you look at it, this is -2, that's the y-intercept for one of the lines, 0, comma, -2. And for the other line is crossing through origin, the y-intercept is 0, which is right here. So it's 0, comma, 0. And they both have a slope of -2. M equals -2. M equals -2. So these two lines are parallel because the slopes are same. All right. Now let's go ahead and do one more example. All right. Here we have two lines again. These we actually, have to solve and see if the slopes are similar or not. So this is our first one. And this is our second one. So I'm going to take one of them down. The first one, let's go with the first one. We have 2x minus 3y equals 12. Now to bring this into slope-intercept form, we have to get y on one side and everything else on the other side. So we have to remove this 2 by subtracting 2x, root of 2x. And so we do that on both sides. So you're left with -3y equals -2x plus 12. Now we have to solve for y. So since -3 is multiplying with y, so we divide by -3. -3, -3. The whole equation by -3. So -3 divided by -3 is just 1. So this is y equals, here we get -2 over -3 is positive 2/3 x, and plus 12 minus divided by -3 is -4. Okay, so that's your first line. Now we go ahead and look at the second line. We have 2y minus 4x minus 8 equals 0. So we move everything else besides y on the other side. So we add 8 on both sides. First, we have 2y minus 4x, and this 8 and -8 is gone, so you're left with just 8 on the other side. Now we move 4x to the other side. So we add 4x on both sides of the equal sign. So what it does is cancels out this one, and you're left with 2y equals 4x plus 8. And now we divide 2y by 2 and everything else by 2. So we can get just y equals this is 4 divided by 2 is 2x, so 4 divided is 2 and then times x, and then 8 divided by 2 is 4. So we are left with this equation. Oh, sorry, let me just do that. Alright, so this is what we left with. So this is our second line. Now let's look at the slope of the first line. M1 equals 2 over 3. The slope of the second line, M2 equals 2. So M1 is not equal M2, so they are not parallel. Okay, now let me bring the graph of this right here. Alright, so this is what the graph is gonna look like for these two lines. If we look at the graph, these two lines are not parallel. One has the slope of 2/3, so it's more like this right here. This is the one with the slope of 2/3, and this is the one with the slope of 2. And the y-intercept is 4 right here for this one. This is 4, 0, 4, and this is the -4 for the other line, 0, -4, and the slope here is m2 equals 2 and m1 equals 2/3. All right, so these two lines are not parallel, they actually intersect at one of the points. Okay, we'll do that later on. So this would be it for the parallel line. Just to one more time go over, the parallel lines have same slope. If the slopes are not same, then the lines are not parallel. All right.